Kubor ka Batisi TV. Lawan Rashapi da ka Frank Motors. I am Tata Punch. Price starting at 5.80 lakhs. Ringkat bat ka net foodish. Ordar mapi nginwan ra amangi hakir dobyeng jongpi.
Ka jingalang jong ki officer ka State Bank of India, ki badan pok shatri jong State Bank of India Officers Association North East Circle, ha ka jingalang ga long hanong ba shlong, ha ka sing sajan ka shitarik unai tung arajar arfuar. Kala yang Pyrshah ki jing tmu jong sarkar pedeng, ban ai penya no ya ka State Bank of India she ki Kynhun jong ki Shimet. Ya kani lapan pau do General Secretary ka seng u Somya data ha bakran ha kani ka jingalang balai shimenta di officer jong ki State Bank ha bro ka wei ki jila Meghalaya. Ula ong ru bakani jing tmu jong sarkar pedeng kan sakta pha hadu kata tai ki samlawat kam ha ki snem ki bansawan namarba ki rukom trikam jong ki Kynhun Shimet ki pher hadu kata ta na ki rukom trikam jong sarkar.
This year's meeting assumes strategic importance. This meeting is being held on 3rd of July. All of you are aware that from 18th of July the monsoon session of the Parliament is scheduled to commence. It is widely anticipated, as reported in the print and electronic media, that the government is contemplating to table the Banking Amendment Bill. If it is tabled and passed, it will pave the way for privatization of all the public sector banks. Now we from All India Bank Officers Confederation, we have been vehemently opposing this move ever since 1991 when this first, this liberalization, privatization, globalization was unveiled by the then Prime Minister, Sri Manmohan Singh. Over a period of 30 years, we have been fighting many a battle. And at this juncture, this particular government, with its brute majority that it enjoys in the Lok Sabha, and it can always work out the numbers in the Rajya Sabha, they are likely to bulldoze all opposition arguments, all dissents, all notes of dissent, and put in place this bill which will pave the way for bank privatization. Now from All India Bank Officers Confederation, we had conceptualized a mass movement. It's called Bank Bachao, Desh Bachao. It is not only confined to only the public sector banks. We are concerned about the regional rural banks. Many rural banks operate in the northeastern states. The cooperative banks, small cooperative banks. All of you are aware what has happened to PMC Bank in Maharashtra. And the private sector banks too. Many of the old generation private sector banks, even some of the foreign banks, they are having their association, Officers Association, which is affiliated to All India Bank Officers Confederation. Now, all of us are concerned about our ordinary citizen. Now, about 120 crore of the Indian population, they are banking with some bank or other. And public sector banks and regional rural banks play a very important role over the years. I'll just narrate a few statistics which will help you to understand the progress that has happened in the past 54 years. This is the 54th year of bank nationalization. It happened on 19th of July 1969. That changed the course of the economic status of the country. India became self-reliant, and the progress is attributed to the growth of the public sector banks, the spread of the regional rural banks. From a mere 8,261 bank branches in 1969, the number of bank branches in the country is around 1,40,000 right now. And out of that, nearly 70% of the deposits are held with the public sector banks and the regional rural banks, and 60% of the advances. Now, the share of the rural credit, institutional rural credit, in the early 1960s, before nationalization, was only rupees 17 for every 100 rupee. That means every 100 rupee of loans that were given, only 17 rupees went to the rural population, rural poor. Now, nationalization changed all that. In 1991, there was a rapid expansion for bank branches. From around 8,261 bank branches, it went to around 40,000 odd branches, 60,000 odd branches. And out of it, almost 40% were in the rural areas. And the share of rural credit in 1990s, it increased from 17 rupees to almost 65 rupees. That means we decimated the local money lenders. so that people could avail of bank credit, the small farmers, the small and medium enterprises, the self-help groups, all of them could avail of this credit. All of them could get banking services at a very nominal cost, and it helped for women empowerment. It helped India to become self-reliant in agriculture. It had a rapid explosion in SME business. Now, what we are seeing after the rounds of mergers that had happened over the last 4 years, first the associate banks of State Bank were merged, then followed Bank of Baroda took over Vijaya Bank and Dena Bank, and then there was this mega merger of 10 public sector banks which collapsed into 4 banks. Now that has led to some erosion of this rural credit. At present, the data we have, the rural credit share has fallen, institutional credit has fallen from 64 rupees to 56. That is a significant number. That means once again, the rural money lenders in the new avatar of fintech companies, in the microfinance organizations, they are replacing the public sector banks and the regional rural banks as the medium to give loans at an exorbitant rate of interest. You must be having a number of real rural bank branches, so many micro credit organizations operating in Northeast. If you conduct a survey, you find that they are fleecing the common people. They are charging interest at the rate of 3% per month, whereas the public sector banks, the rural banks, give loans to the self-help groups, say at 2.5%, 3% per annum. So this is the difference. This is the difference that we have made, and this is exactly precisely the area that the government is targeting. They are also targeting the big borrowers who have enjoyed several lakhs of crore from the system, and they want to privatize the banks so that if the banks goes bust, tomorrow the government will wash its hands off and say that to the ordinary people, say that okay, we are providing you a 5 lakh insurance, nobody knows when it will be paid, like the 15 lakh that was assured after this demonetization. Not a single rupee had come to any account holder of any Indian citizen. Like that, the government will simply wash their hands off and say that you are now at the mercy of the bank owners. The crony corporates that will be owning the banks, they will not be clearing their dues. They will be ensuring that the banks fail and the common people hard-earned deposits are looted. So we have been resisting all that. We have some very interesting figures for you. The government has said that it has been continuously infusing capital into the banks. The government has infused, as per our record, is 3,10,000 crore in the last 5 years between say 2016 and 2021. Out of which 34,000, around 35,000 crore was sourced through budgetary allocation, and 2,70,000, almost 2.7 lakh crore was through issuance of recapitalized bonds. Now what, interestingly, in the same period, 6.84 lakh crore of NPAs were written off. That means all those borrowers, corporates who were enjoying this, they had been given this huge outstanding, they were virtually, their loans were written off, and the banks could recover only about 33% of the outstanding. That means banks had to take a haircut of 67%. For every 100 rupee that we lent, we got back 33, and these corporates, they went smiling all the way to their bank. It's a win-win situation for them. I take a loan from say X bank, I don't repay it, my loan is taken over. Y buys the loan at say 33 rupees, and I have an understanding why I get my business back at the cost of the public Indian citizens who are investing their hard-earned deposits. So this is the situation we are in. It's a very grave situation, and we request to the electronic and print media to propagate our message to every household, and we are ensuring, we have a social media page, Bank Bachao Desh Bachao. I request all of you to follow it. Every day we are posting new material. There's food for thought. We want every one of you to join this mass movement. The farmers have shown us the way, how a democratic movement can even made this government blink. They were forced to take back repeal all the 3 that's contentious acts. But all their demands have not been met, but they are met with huge success, overwhelming success, what a democratic agitation can do. And we are equally determined, because we are connected to 120 crore of the population. State Bank of India enjoys a customer base of 45 crore. That means we are connected to virtually almost every household of the country. So we are playing a very major role in taking this movement forward, so that it is a people's movement, so the government sits up and take notice. And what they did during the winter session, they listed the bill, and we embarked on a Bharat Yatra, a Jatha that was never ever done in the history of banking trade union movement, when we took up a Jatha from Calcutta to Delhi, from Mumbai to Delhi, covering all the states and touching our stakeholders like the farmers, the self-help groups. Everywhere our Jatha was given a very warm reception by the local populace, local citizenry. It was covered in the local channels. NDTV had covered it, and it made the government sit up and take notice, and they decided to backtrack, and they did not finally go through the bill, tabling the bill and passing it. Of course, the UP elections were there, and we had given a clear-cut call. If this bill is passed, we are not a political organization, we are not connected to any central trade union, we are absolutely independent and non-political. But we said that we gave a challenge that if this bill was passed, we will be approaching each and every voter, like what that was done in West Bengal, when in the budget, Madam Finance Minister announced that 2 public sector banks will be privatized. Immediately after that, the West Bengal elections were held. Our state committee of West Bengal, they arranged several meetings across the state, denouncing this move to the government, and it was reflected in the ballot boxes. So we gave an open challenge to the government that if you table this bill and get it passed, we will be hitting the streets with vengeance, and we will be hitting the streets as well as flooding the social media with our resentment, our dissent, notes of dissent, and we will ensure that it reaches the common man. So ultimately the government was forced to backtrack, and we are extremely hopeful. And we once again, through you, we want to send out a clear message to the government that 2024 elections are there. It's just 1.5 years, 2 years from now. And if the government goes ahead and tables a bill and passes, the effect will be felt in the ballot boxes. Despite being in as a frontline COVID warrior, because only at the healthcare, the administration worked, the civil, the municipal workers worked, the police worked, and the bankers worked. The rest, everybody were, they were, media, of course, the media, you covered it. But you also, a number of casualties. So I also salute the role of the media, And the rest, the entire country was locked in their homes. But we were not recognized. Same with demonetization. Tremendous what we have done. You see this Jan Dhan accounts, 97.9% accounts have been opened by public sector banks and RRBs. Out of 45 crore, over 40 crore accounts have been opened by the public sector and RRBs. You take about the Mudra scheme, any scheme, 96 and 97% of schemes are implemented by the public sector banks and the RRBs. But when it comes to the recognition, you see the so-called, quote-unquote blue-eyed boys, ex-white private sector banks, they are getting focused. The government wants us to, to compete with their statistics, their return on equity, their cost to income ratio, their expense ratio, and it's a different ball game. We want a level playing field. We are doing mass banking while they are considering on class banking. And you cannot just compare, you cannot compare an apple with an orange. Yes. Suppose tomorrow the banks are privatized. To get open an account in X bank, I will not name the bank, you need a minimum deposit of 25,000. How many people can have a saving of 25,000 in the country now? Where a significant number are below the poverty line. They cannot afford 2 square meals a day. And you expect them to open an account. Even after the merger of 10 public sector banks, reduced to 4, 37,000 branches were, their number was 37,000. Now, even if they rationalize the branches, even if they close down 10% of the branches, that means 3,700 branches will be shut down. Suppose each branch has an average customer base of 1,000. That means 37 lakh customers, either they will have to find a new bank or they will have to find a new branch. So this is a staggering, And if you walk into any bank, I have discussed with so many private sector banks. X-Bank in Delhi has a business of 400 crore. Their branch manager is supported by 5 assistant branch managers. Below that, there are 5 marketing officials. There are 5 relationship managers, 2 tellers who take cash, receive cash. And compared to that, a 2,000 crore branch of, say, X public sector bank has about only 3 officers, 4 clerical staff, 1 messengerial staff to run such branches, and their customer base, is almost per capita customer is around 2,000 customers per head, or maybe more. So this is the staggering statistics. People talk of customer service. We tell them, give us a level playing field. Recruit more and more people to serve the people, because we are serving the nation. We are bankers to the nation. We are keeping the wheels of the economy moving. So the poorest of the poor is not deprived of his fundamental right, just like roti kapda makan, bitli sadak pani. Banking is also a fundamental right. So we do not want the common people to be deprived of their basic fundamental right.